Imagine this powerful figure, face just radiating intensity, maybe surrounded by flames, carrying a sword or rope. But then you hear the same figure embodies, well, deep compassion. It's quite a contrast, isn't it? What's behind this powerful symbol? What truths does it hold? Welcome to the deep dive. We jump into these complex ideas, try to find the meaning hidden in spiritual traditions. In art, our whole goal here is to pull out the really key insights, the surprising facts, get you up to speed quickly, without making it feel like homework. And today we're looking at exactly such a figure, Fudo Myôô. He's called the Immovable One, a really revered deity, especially in esoteric Buddhism. That's the branch focusing on, let's say, hidden teachings, rituals for enlightenment.
Right, and particularly central in the Shingon school in Japan.
Exactly. And his story, well, it's much richer than that fierce look might suggest at first glance. We're drawing insights from some great sources today, like Noble D. Lamore's Conceiving Fudo Myôô and The Spirit's Elaborate Journey.
They really dig into the spiritual depth, the iconography, really fascinating stuff.
So stick with us, and by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a really clear sense of Fudo Myôô's origins, his significance, his legacy, and maybe discover some surprising connections along the way. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this first. Who, or maybe what, is Fudo Myôô? The name itself seems like a big clue.
It absolutely is. Fudo Myôô, that's the Japanese take on the Sanskrit word akala, or sometimes achala. And it means, just like you said, the immovable one.
Immovable. Okay.
Yeah. And while akala is the core name, he's got others across Asia, too. There are even mystic names like Diamond Guardian of Compassion.
Diamond Guardian of Compassion. That already sounds different from just fierce.
Exactly. It hints at that hidden depth.
So, okay, origins. Where did this immovable one actually come from? Is he purely Buddhist or?
Oh, well, this is where it gets really interesting. His roots actually go back to the Hindu deity Shiva.
Shiva, really?
Yes. You could see clear parallels in attributes, qualities. He really draws from those ancient Brahmanical traditions, specifically Hindu Tantrism.
Tantrism.
Yeah.
So focused on rituals and mystical practices.
Precisely. And his image, his concept sort of emerged from this incredible fusion of Indian culture spreading, through China, Mongolia, Korea, and finally landing in Japan. The Myôos, they're a group of deities in esoteric Buddhism, and Fudo Myôô became, well, especially prominent in Shingon Buddhism.
That's a fascinating journey from Shiva to a key figure in Japanese Buddhism. So how did that happen? I mean, how does a figure from one tradition become so central in another? Was that common?
It was, actually. Buddhism, as it spread, was quite adaptable. It often integrated local gods or, reinterpreted existing spiritual ideas. It made the transition smoother.
Makes sense.
So Buddhism first came to Japan around the 6th century through contact with Korea. But Fudo Myôô himself, he really gained steam later, maybe the 9th century. That's when there was this bigger wave of Buddhist deities and teachings coming over from China.
And were there key people involved in bringing him or his tradition over?
Oh, absolutely. Two figures stand out, Kukai and Saicho. They were hugely influential in establishing esoteric Buddhism in Japan, really setting the stage for Fudo Myôô's importance.
Okay, so he arrives, he gains prominence thanks to figures like Kukai and Saicho. He wasn't just some minor figure tucked away then. What was his role across the board in Japanese Buddhism?
Oh, no, not minor at all. He became a major player. Really widespread influence across different schools, not just Shingon, but also Tendai, Zen, even Nichiren Buddhism, and Shugendo, which is a kind of mountain asceticism.
Wow, so quite pervasive.
Very. And Kyoto especially became this real center for Fudo Myôô art, sculptures, paintings. You find them in the main esoteric temples there.
And these artworks, they weren't just pretty pictures.
Definitely not. The multiple depictions, they showed this spiritual zeal merging with the sacralization of fine art, as Lamore puts it. In esoteric Buddhism, art wasn't just about beauty. It was seen as a kind of a vessel, something with actual power.
Power to do what?
Power to change the fate of humanity and the world. That's the belief. So the iconography, the specific symbols and details in the art, it was incredibly precise, extremely codified and regulated, is the term used. Every element had a very specific job to do, spiritually speaking.
Okay, that gives a whole different weight. So thinking about his place, we know he's important, widespread, but where does he fit in the, let's say, the hierarchy? The Buddhist pantheon is vast.
It is vast, yeah. He holds a really significant spot, though. Fudo Myôô is presented as the chief of the 5 wisdom kings.
Wisdom kings, also called kings of brightness or light.
Exactly. They're powerful protectors, often seen as embodying the fierce wisdom of the Buddhas themselves, destroyers of illusion.
So he's the top one of those five.
He's considered the chief, yes. The other four are Gandhari Myôô, Daitoku Myôô, Kongyasha Myôô, and Gozanze Myôô. Each is a wrathful form of a specific Buddha.
Interesting. And is that his only role, Chief Wisdom King?
Well, no. In Shingon Buddhism, he's also one of 13 key figures, Buddhas in quotes, because the group actually includes Fudo Myôô, who is a wisdom king, plus 5 actual Buddhas, like the supreme one, Mahavairokkana.
Mahavairokkana, the central cosmic Buddha.
That's the one, and 7 bodhisattvas, so it's quite a lineup.
And their job, this group of 13.
Their collective function is really to guide the practitioner, help him navigate towards enlightenment through all the challenges of life and even, through death.
Guiding through life and death. That's profound. Okay, let's circle back to that image we started with, the intense, wrathful appearance. For a lot of people, that might seem, well, contradictory to Buddhism's peaceful image. How do we square that, this furious look with deep compassion?
That's probably the core puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe the most important takeaway about him, yes, he's a guardian, a protector, and a destroyer.
But destroyer of what?
Not of people. He destroys evils, attachments, obstacles, anything that blocks the path to enlightenment. Hostile forces, you could say. And here's the key. His furious appearance is actually understood as a manifestation of the ultimate supreme Buddha Mahavairokkana.
So it's Mahavairokkana's power channeled into this protective form.
Precisely. It's not anger just for anger's sake. Think of it more like fierce determination, an unbending will to cut through all the nonsense, the illusion, the ignorance that holds us back.
Okay, that reframes it quite a bit.
It does. The qualities he embodies are vast. The unchanging, the permanent, wisdom, intelligence, compassion that never wavers, a mind that never stops, unchanging spirit, unshakable body. He's called the king of science, of light, immutable wisdom, unshakable virtue, firm, solid, infallible, like an unalterable diamond.
An unalterable diamond.
Wow. And crucially, Lamore emphasizes this. His face, seemingly full of fury, actually veils the fact that he embodies deep compassion. He represents the undisturbed spirit, the fundamental nature of reality, the true nature within all of us, ultimately tranquility, imperturbable peace.
So the wrath isn't aimed at us, but it's working for us to clear our path.
Exactly. It's directed at the obstacles, the inner demons, the confusion, to break them down for our benefit.
That makes so much more sense. So those specific things we see, the sword, the rope, the flames, they must tie into this directly.
Oh, absolutely. Every detail is loaded with meaning. The sword in his right hand, that's the sword of wisdom.
To cut through ignorance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To defeat delusion, misunderstanding. Then the rope, or lasso, in his left hand. That's for binding passions and emotions. It symbolizes immobilizing those hostile inner forces, helping achieve deep concentration, samadhi. It's meant to pull beings back to virtue, fight confusion, doubt.
Okay, wisdom and control. What about the fire?
The flames all around him, they represent purification, burning away the passions, negative karma, obstacles.
And his eyes. Sometimes they look strange in depictions.
Right, his gaze is significant too. It often indicates that he's present and active both in our world here below and in the spiritual realms, the beyond. And those fangs you sometimes see, one pointing up, one down. Symbolically, that means he grinds down any obstacle. Nothing can stand in his way.
Powerful stuff. It sounds like his power isn't just some abstract idea then. It's meant to be practical, applied. Where do people actually invoke him?
Well, he's mentioned specifically in the Mahavairokkana Sutra.
Yeah.
It directs practitioners to turn to him to remove hindrances from their spiritual practice, to clear the way.
So for personal spiritual blockages.
Yes, but also more broadly. He's often called upon in times of danger, war, disasters. He acts as a protector against calamities, both spiritual and physical.
Interesting. Protecting in the real world, too.
But it's frequently stressed that the war or the struggle he helps with is primarily that internal one, the struggle within.
Yeah.
It's very much like the kind of inner battle you read about in, say, the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Conquering your own flaws, fears, attachments.
The inner battlefield. Right. Now, thinking about how artists showed him, you mentioned variations. What do those different depictions tell us?
They show his different facets, really. You see him standing, ready for action, or sometimes seated in meditation, showing that immovable quality.
Standing or sitting.
Okay. Often on a throne made of rock again, emphasizing stability. Sometimes there's fire just behind him, like a halo. Other times it fully surrounds him. And yeah, like the other wisdom kings, depictions can have well, monstrous features. Furious looks, fangs, sometimes skulls or snakes woven in. It emphasizes that fierce, obstacle-destroying aspect.
And the eyes. You mentioned variations there, too.
Right. Sometimes three eyes,
Mm.
showing higher perception. Or just two, but maybe one looks up, one looks down, or one's open and one's closed. It all suggests his awareness is total, encompassing everything.
So many different takes. Sculptures, paintings, prints.
Exactly. And even the colors use black, blue, red, yellow. Each carries its own symbolic weight, adding layers to his meaning. It's incredibly rich visually.
Which brings us to a really intriguing connection you mentioned earlier, his link to Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman. That seems like a perfect, if maybe unexpected, pairing.
It really does fit, doesn't it? Fudo
It's
Myôô was clearly revered by the warrior class, the samurai. They saw him as this upholder of law, of justice, someone who cuts through deception and weakness with an unwavering resolve.
You can see the appeal for a warrior.
Absolutely. And Musashi himself talks about Fudo Myôô in his famous Book of Five Rings. His contemporary, the Zen master Takuan Soho, also discusses him in The Unfettered Mind.
And what was the context? How did they relate Fudo Myôô to swordsmanship?
They were trying to harmonize Zen practice, the discipline of the mind, with the practice of the sword. Fudo Myôô's immovable mind, that unshakable core, was the ideal state to achieve, even in the chaos of combat.
The immovable mind in battle. Wow.
And Musashi, remember, wasn't just a swordsman. He was a true polymath: calligraphy, tea ceremony, painting, sculpture.
Right. Incredibly multi-talented.
And interestingly, his most famous sculptures, they're depictions of Fudo Myôô. It shows how deeply that ideal resonated with him, how central it was to his own philosophy.
That's a fantastic connection. Okay, so we've journeyed from his origins in India through his adoption in Japan, his symbolism, his role in practice, and even warrior culture. Bringing it all together, what's the core takeaway for us listening today from this deep dive into Fudo Myôô?
I think the really crucial insight, the thing to maybe hold on to, is understanding that Fudo Myôô represents this challenging but profound spiritual idea. That fierce, unyielding determination isn't the opposite of compassion. Sometimes it's actually compassion's most powerful tool against the internal darkness, the ignorance that traps us.
So strength and compassion aren't mutually exclusive.
Not at all. He embodies the unshakable nature of awakening, the constant fight of light against ignorance, that fierce exterior, as we keep saying, it veils deep compassion. He's this potent reminder that real strength sometimes needs that forceful energy to protect, to purify, to clear the path for ourselves and others.
A force of nature for inner peace, in a way.
That's a good way to put it.
So hopefully this deep dive has sparked some curiosity for you, maybe something to think about. What could immovable wisdom or unshakable virtue look like in your own life right now? How do you, or how could you, face your own internal obstacles, those inner battles, with both compassion and that kind of unwavering resolve Fudo Myôô represents? Something to chew on.